that what I was doing was rewiring my brain. And if you can dedicate yourself to doing that 1 hour a day, I don't care who you are, you're changing your life. You will no longer be dependent on therapists. You could take control of your mind yourself.
This is Alex Goudie.
Alex Goudie.
A Miami nightlife legend, event producer.
From building the biggest parties with the greatest celebrities
To becoming a philanthropist.
I told myself, I'm like, you know what? This. I'm 47 years old. I've earned the right to not. Walking is the single greatest antidepressant known to mankind. Can't monetize that though. But they don't want us to do that. You know what I mean?
Alex, welcome to You Versus You. I am so thrilled to have you here, bro. For those of you listening, Alex has been my friend now for, I want to say like 6 years, somewhere going around there. And in that time, I've not only gotten a chance to get to know an amazing human being, but I've also seen the growth, transition, and discovery of someone who I actually enjoy talking to every day. So I'm excited to talk to you today. To start it off, one of the things that I will always say about you is that I will always get a morning call from Alex and you're super excited about life. So what does happiness mean to you?
Oof. Happiness. Wow, you would imagine that I have that dialed in. I think for me, happiness is having emotional intelligence, just having freedom from what other people think about you, having to be what somebody else wants you to be. Being comfortable in your own skin is so important because, and as you well know, I've had many ups and downs. And a lot of those downs would crush other people mentally. They'd be so unhappy. And I don't get unhappy, you do to an extent. You go through your moments when you go into funks, but I'm surprisingly happy even in those moments. And it's because I'm okay in my own skin. And what anybody else thinks about me doesn't really affect me that much. And it does affect me. When I say it doesn't affect me that much, in the grand scheme of things, I think I have that under control to a major extent.
That's an interesting point to touch on, right? Because I think the hardest thing to be in is ourselves. And I say that because so much of what has been programmed in our brain by society is this idea that you are missing something. And therefore, because you're missing something, whether that's money or wealth or fame or blah, or whatever it is, you look left and you look right. And I was having a conversation like just today with my brother-in-law about this, right? Because I said, I admire people who have found the closest version of themselves to be and don't have that fear, or not that don't have that fear, but don't have the level of fear most of us have in becoming who we are, right? Because when you look at a kid, and we were talking about this over dinner the other day, when you look at a kid, like my daughter, she gets messy and she doesn't feel shame because she doesn't realize she doesn't care what she looks like. She doesn't know how to fix her hair. And I truly feel like that's the truest version of ourselves, like a version with no shame, a version of just complete and utterly just excitement about whatever's going on, because no one has told you that's not right or wrong, or that's not, you shouldn't dress like that, or you shouldn't eat like that, or you shouldn't. And no one at that age also has told you that something necessarily is missing. Like you don't understand that, like people with money, they live a different life than I do, or some people have a bigger house than I do. But touching on that, what do you think has given you that confidence? What was it about your life journey that has done? Because I truly, there's people that you meet and say, oh yeah, I'm the truest version of yourself. And without judging them, you can kind of see through that they're still struggling with that, as so many of us are. As so many of us are, myself included. But there is people that you see that have a better part of that muscle developed, right? I always say, I admire artists because putting yourself out there, your emotions, your life story, your crying, your tears, your good, your bad and ugly, out into the public, it takes courage.
It's hard.
In your personal journey, what has been those points that have allowed you to break through that fear and start, picking at that wall in order to be confident, because I do believe that out of the friends that I have, you're one of the people that I feel has probably the closest sense to self. Has that been years? Is that experience? Was there a moment? What was that touched that? And how can someone at home say, "Oh man, I can use that in my
I'm
life"?
gonna break it all down for you.
I hope you're enjoying this episode of You Versus You. If these conversations are inspiring you and are bringing value to your life, please make sure to subscribe, join the community, and don't forget to share with anyone who you think needs to hear this. Thank you for supporting the show. Now let's get back to our episode.
First and foremost, part of it's luck. We are all given the brain we're given. And us human beings, our ego wants to tell us, oh, I'm the reason why all this is so great. I overcame this and I had these challenges. And yeah, but why did you overcome those challenges? What was happening in your brain that gave you the need to overcome it? Like all of that is the hardware we were given is first. So I got lucky, man. I have had a really tough life growing up. My mom, she's an unbelievable human being, and we have a great relationship. And when I was a child, she was a drug addict, and I went through some really tough things that I don't know how I got through them. From watching, people doing drugs, running around the house naked, being locked in the bathroom while everybody's partying. My mom disappearing for 3 days, me crying by the windows, and I don't like getting into that much. Not because I'm scared to talk about it, but you know me. I want to get to okay, everybody's got problems. To fix your problems, I don't care what your problem is. Once I have identified, okay, you have a problem, all right, now I'm going to tell you what you need to do. How do you get out of that? But I was able to get out of that partly because of the brain I was given. It had nothing to do with my greatness. I didn't do anything. At 5 years old, how do you go through that stuff and somehow still it not affect you the way it would typically affect another 5-year-old? So part of it is I was born that way. And that is the biggest blessing in the world. LeBron James has nothing to do with being 6'8". He has nothing to do with it, And because I was born with the brain that I have, I'm very curious. I'm very introspective. I'm always asking questions, asking myself questions, which led me to reading a lot of books. And that started probably in 2018. I started getting to the point where I was reading 10 to 20 books a year. The books were like my therapy. I'm reading from the greatest philosophers on earth. Some of the greatest philosophers, from Osho to Alan Watts to Ram Dass to Michael Singer, Jay Shetty, just Deepak Chopra, Napoleon Hill, so many great, and they're literally the greats of our time, the greats from the past. And all that stuff just started resonating with me. And I just started really taking it in. I started applying it to my life, not with a real intentionality. That's the funny thing about it. I'm a feelings guy. So if you ask me the book I read yesterday, what's it about? I'll know a couple things. I don't remember. But inside, my heart took it all, right? It's like it became me through like osmosis almost. It's like it just, and through that constant reading, a lot of these ideas started becoming my ideas to the point where I just thought they were my ideas. I didn't even realize I got it from somebody else. I was like, oh, I just know that. That's just who I am. I'm just, so, which is kind of funny. But the fact that I'm even self-aware of that shows you how my brain works, right? So that was the start of it. And the first philosopher that really changed the game for me was Osho. And for those of you who don't know Osho, there was a Netflix documentary on him. I forget the name of it, but basically, he started a cult, created his own city. So people would ask me, how do you think Osho's the greatest philosopher? I'm like, well, knowing how to live your life and being able to live your life that way are two different things, which kind of gets me to the point of every single human being on the face of this earth is a being of light and love. They all want to love. They all want to be loved. They want to do good. And what happens is life. You have trauma, you have hurt, you have pain, you have survival mode that kicks in because you got bills to pay. All these things happen to your life and they pull you away from being who you are, treating others the way you truly want to treat them. I don't think anybody treats somebody bad and walks away and like, man, I'm glad I treated that person like shit. You kind of like, you're like, damn, man, did I really have to go that hard? Damn, I could have done something different. But then your ego gets in the way. You're like, but I'm not going to apologize. I'm going to look like a chump. I got to stand my ground. I got to be tough. I got to be this. I can't show them weakness. And I think a lot of people, everybody lives that way. But our true nature is love and light. And some of us are just more connected to it than others. And the more layers you peel away, the closer you get to it, the more you love somebody who has that hardened exterior that they can't access their love and they can't access their light, the more you continue to love. And time again, whenever I do that and just continue to love somebody, even when they're not showing me any love, it always works. It always wins.
So I think, one of the things that I like to do, and the reason why I started the podcast was to give some practical information in conversation, right? Because I always say spirituality and the idea of even religion or whatever it is, it all sounds really great. The question is, how do you put it into practice, right?
It's so tough.
And that's really the point. So you touched on 2 points. One is, reading really helped you. And I do think that reading and in putting yourself in a place where you are intaking information, it's a good first step. Is there 2, 3 books, or is there a book that you would say to someone in our audience, hey, start with this? This book really sets you up to kind of open
That's
yourself.
hard, man, because a book has to meet you where you're at. And it just depends where a human is at. Like you could read a book and and it just doesn't resonate with you. You're not there yet, right? It's like you don't take a book and give it to a third grade book and give it to a kindergartner. They just can't, even the most advanced kindergartner who can probably read the words isn't understanding it. So I can go on about the books, but I like, and my favorite book is Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Michael Singer's The Untethered Soul is really, really good, but that one's a deep book. You got to be at a certain place for that one. Osho's the happiness that comes from within, or the joy that comes from within, something like that. That book is game changing. But I was also ready for that book when I read it. But I like what you mentioned, the practicality, because all this spirituality stuff is hocus pocus to a lot of people.
Yeah.
This doesn't make sense. That's not me. It's too Care Bears or like, you know what I mean? It's too, not everybody's like that. But the practicality, what I discovered by accident, it has completely changed my life. And now I understand why. And the people that have started implementing it into their life, it's completely changing theirs. It's called gratitude walks. And before coming here today, I actually thought about it. I'm like, I remember going to your house in January 2021, and we would go on gratitude walks in the morning. I just didn't call them gratitude walks yet. I hadn't discovered that what I was doing was rewiring my brain. I didn't even put the intentionality of it being a gratitude walk, even though I was a naturally grateful person and thinking about grateful things, but there was no practice, there was no, and I hate to use the word regimen or structure, but there wasn't any structure to it yet. And I've created a very simple structure that changed everything. And the first step was calling it a gratitude walk. And that happened by accident. I was on a gratitude walk in 2021. I was on a walk and just being, it's impossible not to look around and you see the ocean, you see the buildings, and I was just so grateful, and see the birds flying, and, sometimes you see dolphins and manatees and the flowers, the landscaping, everything. It's just so beautiful. And I was just feeling so, so grateful that in that moment I decided to, as we all do on social media, we post our walks, we post whatever we're doing. Nobody ever engaged with me when I'm just posting a walk. It's just a walk. Just see a beautiful sight. Everybody in Miami sees that all the time, right? But I wrote gratitude walk on it. And that did 2 things I wasn't expecting. One, I got 3 DMs of people asking me, what's a gratitude walk? So a light bulb went off. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This is inspiring people. They're asking me what a gratitude walk is. Well, what is a gratitude walk? And I started thinking about it. I was like, okay, you're just grateful. Simple as that. There was no... But
Before you go into that description, because you're just dropping gold, and I want to make sure that we highlight that for our audience, because there's a few things that you touched on, right? One, specifically with the name, right? You said the first thing I wasn't doing was not calling it gratitude. Was when I called it gratitude walk, it created a reaction in people. And I think people sometimes don't understand the power of a word,
oh yeah,
right? And understand the power of what, when you think of a brand, if the brand didn't have the name, didn't have the feeling, the power of a word and how you identify it in your own things, just even for your own brain, because not only did it do something for you, but it also did something for other people who saw it and said, oh, this thing that he's doing has purpose. The word has purpose. And one of the things we talk about on this show so much is your mind doesn't know the difference between reality and fake. It just intakes whatever you tell it as truth. And so being able to name something as a tool,
yeah.
being able to tell your brain in meditation, when I meditate, there's people that do guided meditation and you just try to stay quiet. And while it's great that other people say it, there's something different that happens in my body the moment I repeat, all good things come to me. And that
Oh
has
yeah,
power. So as
yeah.
another tool, the way you speak to yourself or the way that you can create those moments in your day. Like I'll talk about this real quick and I want to jump right back into gratitude walks because it's the reason why I wanted to have you on the show, because I'm seeing the transformation that it's doing for yourself, for other people. And honestly, I just love the concept of what you're building with it. But I was sharing with Manning Sumner's another guest that we had who you know as well, Legacy Fitness,
Yeah,
big
force
guy
of
in the
nature.
force of nature in
Yeah.
fitness, that it was really impressive to me how when my doctor explained to me the reasons my stomach was failing or having a lot of distress was because my mind was sending a signal to my body with the stress, with the fear, with all this, like, hey, I'm not okay. The stomach has the same sensors as your brain. And my stomach started to react on that as, okay, we're in danger, guys. And then it would send that same signal back to the brain as pain. And so my doctor was explaining to me that my pain sensors were heightened. So I would most likely not take pain very well, because while other people might feel pain once and your brain is not registered, my stomach is sending that signal daily to my brain. And my brain says, you're fragile. And so in order to block that, they take a small pill that is meant for antidepressant in order to block the signal. And it just caught me by surprise, because I always used to say, oh man, my stomach is feeling bad. I'm starting feeling like crap. And the moment I started to say, I'm actually, even with that discomfort, there's some discomfort, but I'm okay. It's good. I'm good. I'm not going to say,
Our words matter, man.
all of a sudden, my stomach started to calm
Yeah.
without the pill. Like I haven't even gotten the prescription for the pill. This was, I don't know, a couple months ago, and I suck at taking prescriptions, so I never even took it. But I took the notion of, wow, that is so powerful. And so I want to touch on that because you touched on it right now, and I think it's such a powerful thing, the power of a word and what a name does to a
Oh, it
human,
does everything.
right? What a name does to
Bro,
even.
I just bought a bag of sweet potatoes because on the bag it said, hi, I'm a bag of sweet potatoes.
That's
My
amazing.
best friend is butter. I'm like, I like these. I have a relationship with this guy. These sweet potatoes introduce themselves to me.
So I love that. And then the second thing, which actually I found it interesting because it's a hard pill to swallow for successful people, is the idea that everything's a gift. None of this is actually the concept of earned, right? It's like it's a gift that then we're good shepherds of that gift with our discipline or stuff. But like the gratitude and that word coming into you having the mind that you did, you even registering that as a thing, it's a gift that you then put into action.
Yeah.
And again, it's a hard pill to swallow because as successful people, we think
It's all us.
it's all us. What do you mean? I earned this money, dog.
Yeah,
What you talking about?
And
You know,
it's not.
With that, I want to throw it right back at you to talk about gratitude walks. And so people DM'd you, and where did it go from there?
The second part was, and the words matter, it forced me to be more intentional on my walks. I was like, it's called a gratitude walk. I'm calling it a gratitude walk. Okay, I have to be more intentional, think more about the things I'm grateful for. And I think I was probably doing maybe 3 to 4 walks a week. It wasn't an everyday thing, but literally one of the most beautiful walks you could do anywhere in Miami. It's so inspiring around Brickell Key and all that area. So it was a great way to start my day, but it wasn't mandatory. And one day I was on my walk, and for whatever reason, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to create a new rule. On this walk, I am not allowed to think of anything I don't already have. I'm only allowed to think about what I have. I'm not allowed to think about what my dreams are. I'm only allowed to think about that I'm living the dream I once had.
Mm.
I'm going to go,
so powerful.
and I'm going to go through the line. I'm going to go down the line. I'm going to think about that I live in the most beautiful city in the world, that I have a beautiful apartment, that I have a great job, that I have great coworkers and people that inspire me all around me, people that support me, my friends and family. And I would literally go down the list and think about it. But aside from just thinking about all those things I'm grateful for, our mind is going to be our mind. It goes on its own. I was going to, every single time that my mind would ever think about things that weren't that, I would reel it back in. I would bring it back to where I want it to be. And I was doing something so powerful without even realizing what I was doing. And we all have heard about neuroplasticity. And
let's pretend I haven't, right? Because I do think our audience ranges, right?
Yeah. So neuroplasticity basically is we wire our brains, and any of our habits, or anytime you're reactionary to anything, that is, you have carved a pathway in your brain where the electrical impulses are just going to go through. Just like, if you have a forest and people continually use a path, you don't have to tell anybody who's never been there before where to walk. They see the path, they're going to take it. So your electrical impulses in your brain do the same thing. You've carved a path, and they're going to continually go that way. And in order to rewire that, to change that path, you have to be intentional. You have to be aware. And every time your brain starts to go in one direction, you got to veer it back into the direction you want it to go to. And in doing so, just like walking through a forest, you'll start creating another path. And that path that other people aren't using anymore, pretty soon the trees start growing up again, and that path is gone, right? So that's how our brain works. That's neuroplasticity, which is, man, what a gift. What kind of freedom is it knowing that I don't have to behave the way I'm used to behaving, that I can change that? And I'm going to tell you how you can change it in the simplest way in the world with the gratitude walks, and why. And I'm going to explain it to you in a way that is going to make so much sense. And we talked about this at dinner the other night, or at lunch, or one of those days. If I was what you consider to be the ultimate in fitness and being in shape, and you came to me and you said, "Hey, Alex, bro, I want to be in shape, man. I'm tired of not being in the kind of shape that I'm in, or the shape that I want to be in. Can you help me out?" Sure, man. Start coming out. Come every day. Come work out with me. Do what I do, and we're good. All right, cool. When do we start? Tomorrow, 8 a.m. And we finish at midnight. You're gonna be like, what? 8 a.m. to midnight? Yeah, I don't think so, bro. I don't want to be in that kind of shape, right? And when we're told that all we need to do is practice gratitude, that's what we're asking people to do. We're asking them to work out mentally from 8 a.m. to midnight. That's exhausting. Can't nobody do that. Imagine if you had to think about every time you had to breathe. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. How annoyed are you going to be by the end of your day?
Yeah, you're done. You said, forget it. I'm not breathing.
Just telling yourself to breathe. You can't do that all day. It's mentally exhausting, But if you do it for just an hour, if I say, look, you only have to do it for an hour. Just like when you go to the gym for an hour, you work out consistently, you're going to be in shape. You're not only in shape while you're at the gym, you're not only in shape for that 1 hour a day, you're in shape. So what I did without even realizing what I was doing, by using this 1 hour a day to only think about the things that made me happy and to think about the things that I'm grateful for, I was working out my brain so that even when I wasn't on my gratitude walk, eventually, gratitude was my default setting. Something happens in my day, my brain automatically on its own, without me thinking about it, finds light in the darkness, finds calm in the chaos. Wow. what a superpower. Doesn't mean I don't get upset. Doesn't mean people don't rub me the wrong way. It means that I get to identify it quickly and shift. And sometimes it does it on its own. Sometimes somebody does something super rude to you or whatever, and you handle it like a pro, and then 15, 20 minutes later, you're like, whoa, oh my God, that was me? I used to never, man, the old me would have ripped him a new one. Wow, I'm really changing. This is amazing. And it starts happening so much faster than you think. Like, it's not this long road that you got to wait years to do. You know, the way I figured out what I did, because I'd been like that for a long time, so many people would ask me all the time, they're like, Alex, man, are you ever in a bad mood? Every time I see you, you're just great energy. You're always happy. And I remember the first time somebody asked me that, it was probably around 2020, around that time frame. And when they asked me that, I was kind of taken aback, and I looked around and I'm thinking, and I'm like, nah, I'm never in a bad mood. And then I thought to myself, that's weird. Why am I not in a bad mood? Doesn't mean I wouldn't get sad, but I'm just not in a bad mood. I might have a bad moment, a bad 5-10 minutes, but I don't have a bad day. So over the years, people continue to ask me that, to the point where it's become second nature. I'm just like, nope, never in a bad mood. Crazy, can't believe it. You know what I mean? But then on my gratitude walk, which is where you get the most creative, when you have that time and you introspective and you ask yourself so many questions. Okay, but why? Why am I like that? I wasn't always like that. Yeah, I've always been a good person, but I come from a family that screamed at each other all the time. They were super argumentative. That was just the mode of operation, right? So I'm like, how did I become like this? And then a light bulb went off. Oh my gosh. I rewired my brain. Now I don't have to think about it. I still have challenges, but I don't have to think about it. Your daughter is just over 2, right? Do you remember when she was learning how to walk? How deliberate she was with every step. How she would look to where she had to go before she even attempted. She was planning everything out because her brain wasn't wired yet. She was having to tell herself, okay, my left foot, my right foot. She's like, a year later, she's running across the room, not even thinking. And it's the same thing with gratitude walks, how we rewire our brain. It literally happens just like that. At the beginning, it's tough. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel natural. Our brain wants to think about negative things. Our brain wants to think about the person who talked to us, our colleague who talked to us poorly the other day, or somebody who we feel is taking advantage of. Or it's natural for us to think about those things because we think we have to fix it. So we have to come up with a plan and this and that. But like, cool. Think about it all you want. Just not on this hour. This is not the time. And if you can dedicate yourself to doing that 1 hour a day, I don't care who you are. You're changing your life. You will no longer be dependent on therapists. I'm not saying therapy isn't good. That's a bonus. That's extra. You could take control of your mind and your own personal happiness and yourself. And it's free. And it's the laziest exercise you can ever do in your life. It's a walk. Like, if you can walk, then you have no excuse. You know what I mean?
Manning was saying, so I asked him, you being a fitness expert, what is the best way to get someone in shape? And he said, if I want to get someone in shape, the first thing I tell them to do is let's just walk. Get them moving and comfortable with the idea of moving in order to do it. And one of the things that I was watching a documentary the other day about, mental illnesses, it said that the best form to process healing a mental injury is walking.
Yeah.
It's movement. It's tell your body to do the one organic thing, which is to move. So I find that so powerful.
I've been saying it for years, even before I realized that I was rewiring my brain and all that. But every time I finished walking, I always felt great. And sometimes I would do it in the middle of the day, sometimes at night, sometimes in the morning. Now I exclusively do them in the morning. But
is there an importance to doing it in the morning?
There is. I'm going to share that with you now. But I remember saying to myself, I'm like, years ago, I'm like, walking is the single greatest antidepressant known to mankind. I believe it. I don't care what anybody has to say. You can't monetize that though. They don't want us to know that. You know what I mean? Anybody can walk. You don't need running shoes. Anybody can walk, you know? Just about anybody. But yes, mornings are definitely the best by a million miles. It's not even close. The difference between walking at night and walking in the morning. Number one, it helps stabilize your circadian rhythm, right? First thing in the morning. But when you walk, your endorphins levels rise, serotonin, dopamine. You lower your cortisol levels, so you have less stress. You're boosting your immune system. You're improving your blood circulation and your cardiovascular. Your brain activity goes up. Does that happen at night? Sure. But why is it better in the morning? You just gave yourself the limitless effect. Why would you do that before you're going to go to sleep? Why wouldn't you apply that first thing in the morning so then you can benefit from that the rest of your day? You're less likely to eat poorly. You're less likely to procrastinate. You're less likely to lose motivation. You're at a high. Every chemical in your brain and your body that you need to be on a high is kickstarted. Your cortisol levels are lowered. Cortisol levels are going to rise throughout the day. It's going to happen. So why, if you have this limitless effect, are you going to wait till 8 o'clock at night to do it? Like, oh, well, my schedule. No, you're going to sleep too late. Go to sleep earlier. Wake up earlier. Oh, you wake up at 4 in the morning and you got to be at work at 5? Well, then wake up at 3. I don't know, figure it out. Now, obviously there's some people who have a family and this and that, and there's always circumstances, but more times than not, I find people are always making excuses and not, if you really want something bad enough, you figure it out. Successful people figure it out, right? That's why they're successful. Like, figure it out. And if I'm telling you that you can take control of your mind and your personal well-being yourself, and you don't have to depend on anybody, but you got to get up and to do it, and you're not willing to do it, well, then nobody else can do it for you either. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Consistency is what wins the battle, right? And I think that's both in fitness, in business, in life, the consistency of something and the ability to wake up and do that every day. Like you said, it starts creating that new pathway, which is, you explained it beautifully, because sometimes, people read or people go to church or people hear spiritual and they'll hear it and it's like stepping into, like, clearing the first bushes. But then it's like they go and they clear another bush and they clear another bush and they clear another bush and they clear another bush. And there's just a lot of little bushes cleared, but not a pathway created. That consistency in saying, I am going to stick to doing gratitude walks, or I'm going to stick to doing morning meditation. I'm going to stick to whatever, the different things are, starts creating that pathway. And that pathway, to your point, it just becomes natural and starts changing you. So,
and you know what? There's a danger that happens when you've created the pathway and now you're good. You feel happier than you've ever been. So you think you can, I'm
Stop.
good. I don't need to go on that gratitude walk, right? And just like, we talked about the trees regrowing in the forest, or think about writing your name in the sand at the beach. Those waves, life keeps on coming. And it's going to erase your name from the sand. And it's the same thing. You have to do it and continue to do it. All the benefits, you're getting so many different benefits that why wouldn't you? Like, why wouldn't you? I average 7 days a week, but if I can't go one day, I'm not going to beat myself up about it. That day, I'm probably already going to be thinking about gratitude anyway, because I'm already programmed that way.
Being kind to yourself, I think, is something else to touch on, right? Because I do know by experience, I think self-experience, whether you go to the gym and you start getting into a rhythm and then something happens and you're not able to go, or you get sick or whatever, or life comes up, and then people are like, oh, then you start feeling hard. Damn, I didn't go to the gym today. Like, my day's not great, or I didn't get to do my gratitude walk. So then all of a sudden, it's not like, what would you say to someone that is sitting there with that idea of, because we've all gone through it, right? Like, whether it's at the gym or whether it's at work or whether it's something like,
I'm so glad you're bringing this up, man.
We couldn't show up to that.
Yeah.
And it creates this shock effect.
Yeah. Like, you almost feel out of balance if you don't go. It alters your mood. You can feel depressed or have it be in a funk because you didn't go. It's funny you mention that because I actually stopped going to the gym in July of last year. So it's been almost a year, 10 months, something like that. And the reason I stopped was because I realized I had become a slave to working out. The days I didn't work out, or if I went an extended amount of time without working out, I'd feel like a form of depression. I'd be sad. I felt like I was in a funk. And it's so crazy. We're talking about the power of words. And it doesn't matter if it's true or if it's not true, we're going to believe it. I told myself, I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm 47 years old. I've been working out my whole life. I've earned the right to not work out. I don't have to work out for what? I'm not training for the Olympics, right? I'm like, I'm done. But not only am I done, I'm never going to be sad about it again. I'm going to be okay with it because I've earned it. Bro, like that. There was no carving a pathway. I didn't go work out the next day, and I was fine. And, I'm not going to go into it, but there was a whole host of things that started happening to me that actually benefited me. Part of it is I started being more consistent with my gratitude walk. Now my gratitude walk is a 7-day thing. So I'm still getting exercise because you have to move. You have to move.
Yeah, I was going to say that, people might hear it and say, oh, I'm going to sit and just watch television and do nothing.
No. You have to move.
Like Alex said, I don't have to go to the gym.
No, and look, man, you got to know yourself.
Yeah.
That's what worked for me. There's no right or wrong to this, or like, somebody might want to play tennis. It doesn't matter what you do. Now, the gratitude walk is a mental workout. Also a physical workout, but then it's a physiological booster. So you're doing so many things, and that's why I say, and I don't care who's out there with doctor, who wants to say whatever, it is the single greatest tool and weapon that we all have at our disposal to take control of our lives is gratitude walks. Because once you rewire your brain to find the light in the darkness, the calm in the chaos, it's game-changing. There's nothing you can't do. And you know the law of attraction. When you are a light, everybody's attracted to you. People want to be around you. Other successful people want to be around you. Even when you're not, maybe you're not the most talented person. But like, I don't care. That guy's amazing. I want to be around him. I've gotten away with a lot of things in my life where I didn't have the talent level that I needed to do something. But people just wanted to be around me because they knew it was going to be a pleasurable work experience. I lost my train of thought. That's the first time on this show I'm surprised because normally I would do that like 5 times by now.
No, but I think, again, you touched on a lot of great things. For someone watching and someone listening and they say, okay, well, maybe I do already walk, maybe I do already meditate, maybe I do already do yoga, or maybe I do Pilates, or I do a boot camp, or I do F45, or I do the 1,000 other workouts in the morning, and that's really helping me in my life to feel all the ways that you're saying. But maybe there's something missing, and I want to talk about gratitude. Right?
Something just came to mind. You can have cheese on a hamburger. It's not a pizza. It's still cheese, right? You have to put them together. Journaling is great. Meditation is great. It's the combination of all of these things happening at once that takes this to another level.
So I want to touch on that, right? Because I think, again, physical action forward, there's a large amount of the population, especially now with kind of this health craze that the world's going through, and especially here in the U.S.
Which I think is amazing.
Which I think is incredible. We're seeing more and more places pop up with just healthy food, everything. I love all that, right? But I want to touch on gratitude, because I think beyond the walk, just the word and the power of gratitude is the transformation of rewiring your brain. Why do you think gratitude, regardless if you're doing, meditation, journaling, or if you're doing yoga or whatever else of the other things that we talked about, what is it about gratitude that changes the game? Because to me, that is the sauce in what you're doing and what, some people do in journaling, right? Like gratitude journaling is impactful because there's the gratitude component of that does something. What is the importance of gratitude, and why should people, regardless of their extensive activity, if they agree with your idea of walking or not, should apply gratitude to the way they wake up in the morning?
Well, I mean, first of all, nothing brings you to the here and now, this very second, the way gratitude does. Nothing brings you to the present like gratitude. It forces you to be here. Part of the reason why there's a lot of unhappiness in the world is people are living either in the past or they're thinking about the future. They're forgetting about this very second. It's the only one that exists. The past is a memory. The future is just your imagination. And if you worry about this second and do this second great, your next second is going to be better because of it. So the future is going to take care of itself. And gratitude allows you to do that.
Gratitude walks. We talked about the gifts. We talked about reading. We talked about all these things that you have actioned in your life in order to transform and create these new pathways in your brain that's allowing you to live closer to the life that you want. Now I want to talk about the other part. What are the things that Alex struggles with? What are the things that Alex is working on every day? What are the things that haunt him? What are the things that create reactions? What are the things that make you afraid? Let's touch on the other side of Alex, right? What I've loved about having this environment or this place of openness with our guests is that every guest that I've had here, I brought on because they've had a level of maturity in a muscle, call that success, call that, gratitude walks, where they've been able to use a tool in their lives because of their experience, because of that, like you said, the 6'8" of LeBron James that allowed them to get. But then there's the other component, which is that we are humans and we are dealing with trauma and we are dealing with life lessons that we're not the positive ones. We are listening. We are dealing in a society that is trying to teach us every day that you're in need of something else, and it creates a void. And part of the conversation is really to be okay to expose that and take the cape off the heroes, right?
Yeah.
Take that so that people watching at home or people listening also understand that even the people that they admire, they look forward, they say, wow, that person's so happy, is viewing their lives also through another filter that they're working on and that they're transitioning in order to be in order to free themselves to live the life of their dreams, right? Gratitude walks has helped you a lot. I've seen the transformation. For me, really focusing on the internal work, conversations like this have really helped me learn things that, sometimes we think we know it all. Sometimes it's, again, I was telling some of our other guests the other time, which is just like success has a funny way of making you think that you have it figured out. And the honest truth is, as this show has shown and our guest has shown here, we don't got nothing.
And age.
Age.
As you get older, you start thinking, I'm older than you. I know.
Exactly. So what are those things that are lessons you're learning, that are things that are path of your growth?
When you say fear, and I know, this is going to sound like bullshit, but I don't have any of those because I know somehow, some way I'm going to figure it out, and it's whatever I'm going through is going to serve me. And I've felt like that for quite some time now. So I don't get fearful. I know it's going to work out somehow. And I think I've kind of always had that. Part of it is naivety. Did I say that word right? I always messed that
Negativity?
word. Naive. Naivety.
Naivety.
That's like a hard word to say. Don't edit that out. That part I don't have. But I think one of the things I continually struggle with, and I'm getting better at it, but I'm aware. And once you're aware of something, that's when you really are throwing gasoline on getting past it. But a lot of times I do, not intentionally, think I have it figured out. And somebody will start saying something and I'm just like, this person doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. And my brain just shuts them out and I don't listen a lot of times. Then when I come back, I'm like, when I'm by myself, I'm just like, man, like when you're that's another problem not a problem. The issues with being so self-aware, you're really hard on yourself because you see all your flaws, right? So you're trying to, especially when you're trying to fix them all the time. And then you got to be careful not to get in this rhythm where you're always trying to fix something because then you start thinking you're broken, But I think there's some stubbornness that I've had to work on my whole life, being more open-minded, which is crazy because I consider that's the weird dichotomy about things. You could be super open-minded, but then at the same time, sometimes you're closed-minded.
I really want to touch on this as we come into the end of our talk together. on some really key points here, right? One is the concept of gratitude is the concept that you are 110% perfectly fine. It allows you to resync yourself with the idea of when you were a child, which is that you are in perfect and divine order. You are aligned with the true essence of this place, the true reality of this place, which is that you never needed anything else. You never needed the extra clothes. You never needed all that shame that got brought on by you not having something, by you having to reach for financial success or reach for fame or reach even for religion as a sense to feel correct. You are already whole, and gratitude allows you to center yourself to live in the only moment that matters, which is something you said, which is now. That's the first thing. Second thing I took from your conversation is the power of movement, the power of getting yourself up and moving in order to do what you were intended to do. Your whole body was created for movement. You were given legs for a reason. You're not given fins to go swim. You were given legs. That power of movement. Third, be kind to yourself. No matter at what stage you are of success, of life, no matter how awake you think you are, the reality is that our human struggle is that because of all the things we discussed, we tend to not be kind to ourselves. We tend to be kinder to people. We tend to want to do good for other people. We tend to want to prioritize other people's necessity for our time. We rarely prioritize it for ourselves. We're rarely speaking lightly to ourselves. We tend to be harder on ourselves. The most
important person you can speak to.
Which is just the most important person. And with that leads us to an exercise we love to do with our guests every single time. You more than anybody know the power of words. So what is one word or one phrase that Alex today, the inside of Alex, the mind of Alex, the spirit of Alex, needs to hear?
That's easy. Anybody that knows me knows. I used to be embarrassed to say this because you feel a certain kind of way. You feel like you're not worthy. But I am the embodiment of love in the flesh. I don't have to love anybody. I am love. So if I am love, then I'm going to love you and I'm going to love me. So my phrase is definitely spread love, only love. That's the answer for me for everything. It's tattooed right here on my arm. I created a little a logo of a heart here with arrows as if it's expanding. I think that's the answer to everything. Inject love into it. You don't know what to do, inject love into it. It gives you grace. It gives you understanding. When you go around everything you touch, sprinkling love on it, eventually the only thing you can see is love all around you. You're creating a better environment for you to live in. And by default, another beautiful thing that happened to me was that now when people are around me, because of the way I carry myself and because of how used to they are of me being that intentional, I get a better version of everybody else. They're like, I can't show Alex this side of me. I got to be a little bit better in front of him. So I'm creating this fantasy world where everybody's just a little bit nicer because I'm nicer. So we get to live in this world that we paint.
Beautiful. Alex, thank you for being a part of You Versus You. I've enjoyed our conversation, and first of many, and I'm really grateful for you to come here and share this time with me because I do think a lot of your philosophy of life will be healthy for people and will be things that people can apply to live a better life and spread love.
Man, I'm so grateful for you, grateful for the friendship, grateful for you inviting me onto this show. Got a lot of love for you, man.
Same.
All right.
Love you, brother.
Love you, bro.
Thank you guys for tuning in to You Versus You. Please subscribe, like, and share as we build this community and we help each other to live the life of our dreams.